Welcome to a Business Minute with Lily Lopez, presented by the South Florida Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Today we're at the beautiful Biltmore Hotel celebrating the 28th anniversary of the South Florida Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And with me is Congressman Carlos Gimenez, who is a friend of the Chamber, personal friend as well, was mayor of Miami-Dade County. And I want to talk to him about what the differences between being a mayor and being a member of Congress. I see you more relaxed. Is Congress easier or is it different? So just give me in a nutshell, like 5 minutes. The main differences.
No, it's really different. And as mayor, I was the CEO. I was the person that, I had 28,000 employees under me and all that.
A little stressful.
$9 billion budget and all, and I was responsible for running the day-to-day operations of Miami-Dade County. It's not the same as a member of Congress. You're one of 435. Everything has to be in collaboration. If you're in the minority, it's a lot harder, and I happen to be in the minority. The majority is everything in Congress. And so, what I do in Congress is, there are bills that I introduce. There are obviously hundreds of bills that we have to vote on, and that's my main duty in Congress, plus constituent services. So I have an office which takes care of the problems that people either have with passports or immigration or with Medicare, with Social Security. Those are government programs, those are federal programs. And then our offices, when you call, it's our duty, and we do, try to help you with your problem. So that's mainly the big difference between.
And you travel, and you have to travel?
I do. I travel back and forth to Washington, but I don't spend as much time in Washington as people think I do. Because we go in sessions, but sessions in Washington are different from sessions here in the state. Here the session is 2 or 3 months, right?
Right,
in a row.
Exactly.
In Congress, we're open the whole year, but we only...
There's a recess, right?
Yeah, but there's recesses, but the sessions only are, let's say, 2 sessions a month, which means that's 4 days per session. So maybe 8 days that I'm up there. Most of the days I'm down here. I actually spend much more time down here than I do in Washington.
I never would have thought that.
Yes. Now there are some Congress people that actually spend all their time in Washington. They have homes there, etc. They don't go back home, or at least they don't go back
because they represent maybe a state,
or maybe
all the way over
California,
there,
Wyoming, whatever, or it's their own personal preference that they'd rather just stay in Washington most of the time. Their kids are going up there. They have kids in school and all that. So my situation is a lot different. So I spend most of my time here.
And what do you see now? What are the most critical issues that we're facing? I mean, besides inflation, the economy, lack of leadership, if you will.
I think you've said them all, okay?
And the war, that we get into these wars, and in reality, if you're in a war, you're supposed to win, not just sort of maintain. I don't know.
We're not in a war.
We're not there.
No, the Ukrainians are in that war.
They're in the war, but we're helping.
Okay,
we're helping.
What are the main issues?
Okay,
inflation.
Explain that.
Number one, inflation, without a doubt.
Okay.
Highest inflation over 40 years.
Yes.
Number two, gasoline prices. Gasoline prices have already doubled. Gasoline prices, diesel prices also, because that has an effect on the entire economy. Everything that we buy gets to us in some way or another, and it's usually through a truck or something. So all of those prices are going up. Now we have an issue with higher interest rates, and so
exactly. So tell me about that.
Higher interest rates are a way to tap down on inflation, but it's very, very hard to thread the needle where you are tamping down on inflation and not get a recession at the end. We already had a 1.7% decrease in our GDP for the last quarter. If you have 2 of those in a row, that's a recession.
That's a recession.
So, we have all these. We have the crisis going on the border. You have millions and millions of illegal immigrants who are crossing the border.
Tell me about that. I mean, what's the deal with that?
The deal with that is that Joe Biden changed all the policies of President Trump, and that was a signal to immigrants to come, and then instead of staying in Mexico, waiting for their trial, for their hearing, they're coming into the United States, and instead of taking only 3 to 4 months to get that hearing, 90% of which were denied, and then they were sent back. Most of those are now being in the United States, and it's taking 3 to 4 years to get that hearing, and so they're here 3 or 4 years before the hearing, and so we're getting this flood of immigrants coming into the United States.
And something that I've noticed, Congressman, I've met people. Actually, there was a gentleman who was an owner of I don't want to say the name just in case, but it's he had a few coffee shops in South Beach, and he's a French guy, and he suddenly told me, I sold the business because I have to go back to France. They didn't renew my visa. And I said, but you're an entrepreneur. You're giving back. You're paying taxes. He says, I have no idea, Lily. I just sold and I'm leaving. And then there's this other lady, an architect, who told me, Lily, I'm from Canada. Didn't renew my visa. And this is a wonderful lady. So She's gone.
Right.
So then what are we doing here? And there's a nun also that I knew, a dear nun.
Right.
She was to be deported. And she had to leave to Costa Rica because they didn't renew her visa. So then you have good people that work, that contribute, goodbye, and then open borders.
Yeah, so,
What
so the
mind?
Frenchman, the Frenchman needed to go to Mexico and then cross the border.
Exactly.
Okay? And then
That's not
he'd be
even-
allowed to stay.
and be allowed to stay.
Which is crazy, and that's
Completely
why
insane.
it's insanity. And
Completely.
so we need, before we have a rational discussion on
Yeah, of
immigration,
course.
you have to secure the border.
Of course.
Again, before we have a rational discussion
Secure
on
the
immigration,
border.
you have to secure the border. The Democrats, Joe Biden, do not
They
want to
don't want
secure,
to secure the border.
Therefore, you're not going to have a rational conversation
Conversation?
about immigration.
Exactly.
You're going to talk about the French guy that wants to
Yeah,
stay here, who's an entrepreneur that's actually producing. You can't talk about
Exactly.
the Canadian. You can't talk about
the
folks,
nun.
or the people that we actually need in this country.
Exactly.
By the way, we need a bunch of people that are
We
service
do.
people.
We do.
A
We
bunch
need-
of
we need
people,
workers,
okay?
of course,
So
absolutely.
actually, but they should be coming in a legal
In
manner.
way,
So
exactly.
get in line, go back to your
Yeah.
country of origin, say, hey, I want to
crazy.
come, I want to work in the United States. We'll give you a work permit. You can come to the United States. You
It's
can work
insane.
here because we need workers.
course,
We have
of
about
course.
10 million openings right now.
Of course.
Exactly.
Anyway, and we can't solve everything
No.
in a business
In
minute
5
with
minutes,
Lily
yeah.
Lopez, right?
In 5
But
minutes.
I thank you so very much
My pleasure.
for your time and for being here today at our 28th anniversary of the Chamber. And to all of you, I'll see you next week at the same time. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of A Business Minute with Lily Lopez.